A friend of mine who is a creative director approached me and said, hey, look, I think we should do this, but I think we should do this a different way. And I think we need to do this based around positivity, like finding the good in everything that everybody did. And suddenly there was this kind of moment of, do you know what, that is exciting. That is, that's not just, can I sell more units of a, fizzy drink or sell stuff that people don't need, but what can we do that makes people feel good, and it kind of brings out the positivity in every brand.
Welcome to the Push to Be More podcast with me, your host, Matt Edmondson. This is a show that talks about the stuff that makes life work, and to help us do just that, today I'm chatting with Caroline Polson from TwoScoops over on the sunny island of New Zealand about where she has had to push through, what she does to recharge her batteries and to be, as well as, well, what they're doing to be more. Now, the show notes and transcript from our conversation will be available on our website, which is pushtobemore.com. And if you're visiting the site whilst you're there, why not sign up for our newsletter? Because each week we will email you the links and notes from the show automatically. They go direct to your inbox, totally free, which is amazing. Oh yes. Now this episode is brought to you by Orion Media, which helps entrepreneurs and business leaders like yourself set up and host and run their own podcast. Why would they do that? Why would you want to do that? Well, you know what? I have found running my own podcast to be insanely rewarding. It opens doors to amazing people like nothing else I have ever seen. I have built networks, made friends, had a platform to champion my customers, my team, my suppliers. And I think just about any entrepreneur and business leader should have their own podcast because it's had such a huge impact on my own business, which of course sounds great in theory, but in reality, well, there's a few things to think about, isn't there? Like, how do we set it up? How do we do distribution? How do we get the tech right? How do I even know what the right podcast strategy is, Matt? I mean, the list goes on. You see, I love talking to people, but not necessarily all of that other stuff, if I'm honest with you. So our fab team at Orion Media takes it all off my plate. I get to do what I love and enjoy and I'm hopefully good at, and they brilliantly take care of the rest. So if you're wondering if podcasting is a good marketing strategy for you and your business, why not connect with them at orionmedia.com. That's Orion, AURION media.com. And of course, we will link to them on the podcast website as well. So that's the show sponsor. Let's meet today's show guest, Caroline Polson, a marketeer turned purpose-driven. Let me get my own note right. Purpose-driven entrepreneur. She worked, check this out, at Wingnut Films for Peter Jackson on King Kong before moving to several advertising agencies and then client side at the University of Canterbury. In 2022, she launched TwoScoops, a purpose-driven advertising agency that helps clients move beyond selling products and services and embrace their role in shaping a better future, which sounds amazing if I'm honest with you. And when she's not running the business, she is a fab mom of two young boys who love outdoor adventures like skiing, boating and swimming around the beautiful coast of her native New Zealand. Sounds idyllic. So, I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? Caroline, welcome to the show. Great to have you. How are we doing today?
Thank you, Matt. I'm really good, really good. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it's great. It's always good to talk to friends in New Zealand, which is just fab. It's funny, isn't it, with technology? You're on the other side of the world. It's the other half of the day, and the conversation is instant. It just blows my mind every time it happens.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? We're always, New Zealand always feels like the little poor cousin at the bottom of the world and was like, don't forget about me, we're down here too. So
yeah, I never feel that way about New Zealand. I get to travel to New Zealand usually about once a year. Although I've not been since COVID, funnily enough. But I try and make it over once a year. And I usually try and come over, my little secret, I usually try and head to New Zealand about sort of Jan, Feb time. Because in England, by this point, I am done with the cold weather. I am done with the grey skies. And you have the most gorgeous, beautiful summers. And I'm catching the tail end of your summer, which is good for my skin. Because I'm a little bit pale. And so, I just love my little trips to the land of New Zealand there.
Oh, good. Oh, yes, that's definitely the time to come. That's where now all the leaves are turning, and it's very beautiful, but it's kind of got that feeling of, oh no, here we go, we're going into winter. But that's okay. We have in winter and all that kind of stuff, so we like to still get out and do stuff.
I bet you do. Are you close to the mountains?
We are. I mean, we're lucky. I'm in Aotearoa, Christchurch, and what we say is you can go for a surf in the morning, you go for a ski in the afternoon. It's hour and a half to the top of Mount Hutt. So very lucky.
So the best of both worlds, really.
Yes. Not that I surf, but the option's there if I wanted it. But
I don't blame you. I tried that once, nearly killed myself. Never doing it again. So, Caroline, let's jump into the questions, right? And one of the favorite questions I have to ask guests, and I've tried asking this question at different points in the show, so I'm still slightly experimenting. So we're going to dive straight into the deep questions. This show is sponsored by Orion Media, right, which is all about helping entrepreneurs set up and host their own podcast. So if you had your own podcast, right, and you could have anybody as a guest on your show, someone from the past, someone from the present, could be anyone that's had an impact on your life, whether a historical figure, family member, author, I don't know. I'm curious, who would be on your show and why?
Such a good question. And it's a hard one. Where do you start?
How many thousand people can I have on? Yeah.
Totally left field here. It's a good set the whole time. Do you know who my icon, who I think has done so much for feminism, for the LGBTQA rainbow community? Dolly Parton. I know that's so random, but I just think she is an absolute legend. People don't think of her as a feminist, but oh my gosh, she is. She has played the world for the last, years. She's a philanthropist. She's the most incredible singer-songwriter. And I would just love to sit down with Dolly Parton and try and just pick that brain and hear her stories. I just think she's a total trailblazer, and she's awesome. And I don't think she gets, she's not a joke. People used to think that, she's the butt of the joke, but actually she's the one making the millions and writing her story. So I know that's probably quite random, but Dolly Parton would be my dream podcast.
Wow. I'm not going to lie, Caroline. I always try and sort of think, who are they going to say? And I've never got it right yet. I could say the obvious things like quite a few men when they come on the show will say, I'd love to talk to my dad, especially if their dad passed away when they were young, or my granddad. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of the male role model figures in their life. What does tend to happen is ladies choose ladies and men choose men, which is, I don't know if I don't want to read anything into that. I'm just stating a fact. But I did not have on my list anywhere Dolly Parton. I'm not going to lie. And so it's intrigued me that you've chosen Dolly Parton, because Dolly Parton is of a certain era, and I hope I'm not being rude. I didn't put you in that era. I thought you were younger, if I'm honest with you. But she's an extraordinary lady, isn't she? And I don't know if you've ever been to Dollywood in the States.
No, it's on the bucket list.
Oh, is it on the bucket? So I had the pleasure of going to Dollywood pretty close. Yeah, pretty close to when it opened. I was staying with some friends in North Carolina, I used to live in North Carolina for a few years. And I'd gone back to the States, was staying with some friends, and they're like, Matt, we're going to the mountains. Do you want to come? I was like, sure, I could want to come to the mountains. Why would I not want to go? And they were like, and we're going to go to Dollywood. And I was like, Dollywood. Okay. And the thing that I remember about Dollywood was the ice cream was phenomenal. So yeah, it's on your bucket list.
I mean, yeah, it's so random. And when people say that Dollywood exists, you just think it's something that somebody's made up. But she's just hilarious. She's amazing. And what else, other than the ice cream, what else did you do? You just wandered around and
yeah, I mean, it was a nice theme park, and they had some live music on, and obviously a lot of country music going on, and it was a great day. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Now this is going back X amount of years. I genuinely couldn't say what, 25, maybe 30 years. I can't remember. So it's not like I've been with my kids, but yeah, Dollywood's a real place. Who knew? And good on her. It's still going, and she's still got a voice, and I still love the movie 9 to 5, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, she's still relevant, even though I'm a little bit younger than when she was at her probably singing heyday. She's still relevant, and she's on TikTok. So
Oh, is she? She's on TikTok. Okay, fair enough. I did not know that. What I can tell you is a friend of mine, a beautiful lady friend of mine, who I just adore. She's just fantastic. She used to live with us years ago. She had breast cancer and had to have a whole bunch of surgery, went through a whole bunch of stuff. And so in Facebook and the groups and stuff, what does she call herself? The Adventures of Dolly or something. Anyway, she connected herself with Dolly Parton, and everything she posted on social media became about Dolly Parton, which was great, and she was using Dolly Parton to get through the breast cancer, which was lovely.
Brilliant.
So yes. I like Dolly. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm a Dolly fan. So
Good.
that's awesome. Dolly Parton. Anybody else? Who else would you have on your show?
If I really wanted to kind of be within the industry where I am in marketing and advertising, the person who has kind of made me understand marketing, and delivers it in a way that is entertaining. Is a man called Mark Ritson. Have you heard of Mark Ritson? He's a British guy, but he's an Australian academic. Oh my God, you must listen to some of his podcasts. I mean, it's probably quite boring for you, but he's like an anti-academic. Like I've worked at the university for 10 years. I know what they're like, but he just delivers marketing theory in a brutal, sweary, matter of fact, hilarious way. And I've learned more, I reckon, in the last kind of 5 to 10 years than I ever did when I was sitting at university and in the game often. And he just kind of helps me keep on top of things and keep things relevant. And he offers the mini MBA over at the University of Tasmania, which I haven't done, but I should do it. But he's just a really good person to kind of, I listen to his podcasts. Podcasts are just amazing. I love them. And
it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, too late. But now we just champion it to all our clients. And, if you want to start building, influence, opinions, all that kind of stuff, you got to get on there. But yeah, Matt Ritson, he is hilarious. And of course, my mother when she was younger, baby, or, here's the stories. But, you could just keep going and going, couldn't you?
You can. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's a fascinating, and some people really struggle to answer this question, which is why we now tell people ahead of time we're going to ask it to give them time to think, because it's like, who do I pick? I don't know. It's like we break out into a cold sweat. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's like, do I need to sound really intelligent, or, do I...
Yeah, no, you don't have to sound intelligent on this podcast because I host it, so it's totally fine. So what was so you listened to the Mark Ritson then? So you obviously you're into marketing. TwoScoops is your agency. Okay. So what was tell us about the moment then when you realized that you wanted to leave behind traditional advertising, start TwoScoops? What was the driving force sort of behind that decision, and how have you gone to bring that vision to pass in your life?
Yes. Essentially, I mean, you may have noticed that the world is looking pretty grim out there, and we're in recession, we're COVID, we're kind of post-COVID, we're still kind of living it, and the fallout from it, global warming. Even you turn on the news, it's just so grim. It's so grim. The world is so grim, and I was looking for a change. I had been working client-side marketing manager at the University of Canterbury for 10 years, which was amazing. And, we had in 2011, there was a major earthquake in Christchurch, with kind of a loss of life, which was quite a lot for a small country like us. Whole city rebuilt. And so, I kind of came into the university after that, and we had to kind of tell students, come to this university, and, you would have a city. There's, no part-time jobs because, everyone's just trying to get back on their feet. So it was a very challenging but incredibly rewarding 10 years at the university. And, we've recovered to higher than, pre-earthquake numbers, things like that. And it was time I needed to move on. I needed to kind of let someone else come in and take the reins there. But nothing got me excited. And I thought, I'd like to go back to agency world. And I just thought, I don't want to, if I'm honest, going through all this process of changing, and I'm not even sure I want it. So, a friend of mine who is a creative director approached me and said, hey, look, I think we should do this, but I think we should do this a different way. And I think we need to do this based around positivity, like finding the good in everything that everybody did. And suddenly there was this kind of moment of, do you know what, that is exciting. That is, that's not just, can I sell more units of fizzy drink or sell stuff that people don't need, but what can we do that makes people feel good, and it kind of brings out the positivity in every brand. And brands are on a different journey for this, and some are very obvious where their positivity lies, and some we really have to dig deep to see what good they're doing. But we just kind of think that if you tell good stories and talk about the good of what's happening, then your engagement with your audience is just naturally going to come. And it just feels like the right thing to do. And nobody was doing it. Nobody was kind of basing their agency or their work on positivity. There are sustainability agencies in New Zealand. This is New Zealand, so I'm sure in the world, definitely there's people doing it. But we just thought, let's just do it. Yeah. It was just one of those, okay, let's do this. Let's see if we can make this work. Wow. Yeah. And then so we kind of set up a business plan, kind of gave ourselves a time, to resign from our other jobs. And then on the 1st of July last year, we'd been kind of building it up for nearly 6 months before that, but we started full time at TwoScoops, with no clients, which was very scary.
Okay. Yeah.
Scary. But I think we were both just at the let's, do it. And there's three of us. So we have a digital director as well. So we've kind of, got creativity, client services, and the digital side. So it's kind of a nice little trilogy of the offering that we have, which kind of means we can kind of do anything and everything. And then we tap into a network of different people that we know who can deliver the projects we need to deliver. So yeah, that was kind of in a nutshell how TwoScoops came about. And we've just had such a positive response from all of our clients. So some come to us because of that positive angle, and some come to us because of a relationship we've had, and then we have to bring them on board of that kind of positive journey. What are we doing? Let's go for this angle. And it's just so rewarding. It's amazing. Yeah. Right. And engagement is there. But it's kind of the proof is that people do want to see good news stories and things like that.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I'm listening to you talk, and you're talking about finding the positivity and how there was excitement in that, and then my brain instantly creates a connection, because as you are talking, I'm seeing Dolly Parton again in my head, because I've never seen her not positive. I think whenever I've seen her, she's like Mrs. Positive, and is always really kind and gracious with people. And so TwoScoops in effect is modelled off Dolly Parton. Is subconscious sort of connection there. So it's interesting that this positivity side of things then. So let's talk about that a little bit if we can, because I'm curious to know, what was it about that? You said that there was this kind of moment, this moment, I think you called it. I can't repeat the musical tone, but what was it about that drew you in? Was it something that was immediately obvious to you that was missing from the roles that you'd had previously working in that in that industry?
Not so much. I think it's potentially because it was coming from us and that we could drive the ship. Like we could build it to how we thought was the right thing to do instead of kind of jumping on board. Like it felt we authentically wanted to do this. It wasn't just here's a gap in the market, let's try and jump on that and leverage of people feeling crap, let's go. So I mean, I think it was something that we could own. That was the really exciting thing about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's something you can own, and it's a good thing to own. It's better than doing it in the negative. So I guess if Donald Trump came to you and said, "I need some help," it's like, yes. we just. I don't know if
we've had these discussions too about what do we do if we have a trippy client, like a big oil co or something like that. I mean, we haven't had that. They haven't approached us yet. But it's a really, we have a moral compass that we need to direct to and stay true to the brand. But, it's a tricky one because you kind of have to make sure, well, we do work with construction companies, things like that. And, they're on a journey, they're not there, but there are good things that they're doing, whether in sustainability, diversity, and bringing on more female people in their teams. There are things that you can do, but yeah, I would definitely draw the line at Donald Trump. There's not going to
be. Sorry, Mr. Trump, I'm not picking up. Oh well, no loss there then, really. So when did TwoScoops start?
Last June. So we are a very young company, young company. So with that comes, I can't ring up the finance department to ask something because that's me now. And, learning to run a business, and we're just sitting in a room like, my goodness, what do we do? Or, one of the biggest lessons for us so far, I'm sure we've got many more lessons to come. We're crazy. We've launched a business post-COVID world, and everybody's going into a recession. We're in a recession. Inflation's at an all-time high, and all this exciting thing. But what we've learned is cash flow is just king, and it's really difficult. And I mean, it's probably the UK and Northern Hemisphere. I'm sure you guys probably shut down over July and August. Well, New Zealand shuts down over December, January. Well, not December, busy, but January, February, it was dead. And we were like, wow, we need to plan for this next year. So there's all sorts of kind of running a business is so different from your core, and every company is like this, but, running a business and your core offer of what you deliver, and making sure you get balance right. So it's a learning process, and it's hard, but it's good. It's good. We all play a part in that, whether, because you're a creative director doesn't mean that you are part of those finance talks either. So, it's a good team.
Yeah. That's interesting. So you're fairly new business. You're figuring out that cash flow is king. It is an important lesson to learn, I feel. Cash is really important. Yeah, I mean, for us here in the UK, I'm always aware that August is a month where nothing really happens, and you have to mitigate for that. You have to plan for that. So I imagine that's your January time, isn't it, really? And you're just kind of like, well, whatever. It's just everything's on shutdown, so I may as well just close the doors and go light the barbecue,
Yeah, you're right.
It's just one of those, isn't it? So what is going from working for someone to running a business is a pretty big leap, right? And I guess if people are listening to the show that maybe are thinking about doing that, what are some of the challenges that you faced? Or I guess another way to think about this is, if you could go back in time a couple of years and have a conversation with yourself that's getting excited about a positive ads agency, what advice would you give yourself?
Plan everything. So you need to know what you need to be bringing into the company, and you need to have a real, start from the beginning and think about what is your purpose as a company, and because we're marketers, we kind of do that. So we were okay around that. We had this idea of positivity, but it was only about 2 months ago we sat into a workshop internally, which we do with our clients all the time, and we hadn't done it for ourselves. It's like a chef who goes home and doesn't cook, right?
Yeah.
And we sat down and we wrote our brand positioning, and I actually think it would have been so different if we'd actually done it at the start, but it's so good to do that and keep evolving. So you have this kind of North Star that you are all working towards, and then you need to work out, how much money do I need to survive? What is my time? What is the cutoff point that this is going to work anymore? Those kind of horrible, scary questions that you kind of you need to plan for. Get the right support. So I know it's horrible and it's to have to spend money when you've got no money coming in, but speak to the lawyer first. Make sure you get everything drawn up. Agreements with the stakeholders. We've got even stakeholders. Shareholder, sorry. And, I've got an accountant who is incredible, and I just am such a pain because I'm just, and I've broken something on, the software that we use, and he just goes in and fixes it, or what is this tax, and they explain it. It's all, very new. So get the support you need, because that will actually in the long term make things so much easier. And just be brave. Just make sure it's the right timing for you. I couldn't have launched TwoScoops 3 years ago. That wasn't the right time for me. My children were too young. I just didn't have the security that, if this fails, then what's my next, what's the backup from that? So, I think timing is really important. But, be also brave. Be brave, and it's so hard to run your own business, but it's so rewarding. And you don't mind doing the late nights, because it means I pick up my kids from school now. We send them up to school journey, and she would take them to all their sports practices and all that kind of stuff. And just because I had to, there was no other options. And
sure.
Now I'm involved in their life, and then I come home and then I'll jump on the computer and keep going. And, you can you don't mind doing it because it's what you want to do. So that's a really rewarding part of it. It's scary, but the rewards kind of outweigh that.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So I was going to ask how you found it now, running a business with two. How old are your kids?
They're 10 and 8 now.
Okay, so pretty good age. Yeah, not so young, but they're a pretty good age, and they can take care of themselves fairly well, I would have thought. So how's the family found it with you starting and running a business sort of during recession time, post-COVID? Mum's excited about this project. She's nervous about this project. She's excited about this project. She's nervous about this. How have you balanced that whole family thing whilst growing TwoScoops?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, but it's hard working full time for anybody, right? So, kids are so resilient. They just accept whatever's going on half the time, I mean, I think they like that I'm around more after school, helping them off. Well, actually, we've just moved house, and they used to walk to school themselves and bring themselves home, which is fantastic. And now that doesn't happen. I don't know why we've moved further away, but it's like
because this house has got a basketball ring, which you can see on the video.
Right.
Yeah, behind. So just be clear on this, behind Caroline is a basketball ring on the wall, which is why I mentioned that. Sorry.
But they've been so supportive. And they're just happy to have. I'm turning up. The other day, one of them had cross country. I would have never have been able to sneak away. I mean, I should have, but life. When you're working at your 9 to 5, and you're like, no, I've got meetings that day. There's no way I can make it, but you probably could, but I didn't. And now I'm always there. I'll pop down, watch them run, head back home, back to the office, and keep working. So I think they like that. And my husband's really supportive. I mean, because of him, that I was able to kind of make the leap. We kind of worked out, did him and us that if, I can't pay myself this week, what does that mean? Or anything like that. So I think it's just been I think they've seen that I'm happier. I've got more. Talk about being a purpose-driven agency, but I'm a purpose-driven person. We had said at the beginning, people-driven as well, but you just kind of feel happier within yourself.
That's really fascinating, isn't it? And I like how because quite often people think, I'm going to start a new business and it's going to be all consuming. But what it sounds like is actually you started a business and yes, it was consuming, but it freed you up in the hours where you needed to be free for the kids, right? You could dictate that a little bit more. Whereas for whatever reason, when you're doing full-time work, that's not always that straightforward, right?
Exactly right. And you may have, as I mentioned, late nights and like, I've just got to get this out. But it's, the quietest, everyone's in bed and actually I'm smashing out a proposal for a client or whatever's going on. So yeah, that flexibility is everything. And I think even COVID actually meant that we can work from home and we can work, we've got Teams on our phones all the time. I'm out, go for a walk at lunchtime, and I never ever could do that. I was like, I have not done any exercise for that today. I feel, and I'll be like, right, I've got half an hour. I reckon I can work around the block, and I'm sitting there. And this is terrible as well, but you switch off. But it's better I'm moving than sitting here, and I'm on Teams, still working, going around the block. And COVID has given us all these systems. Whether they were there or not before, I don't know, but we've all kind of adopted them now. That we can kind of be anywhere and everywhere and get stuff done. But also know when to switch off is always a hard one. And you can't really do that a lot when you're trying to get a business going.
Yeah.
Again, it's okay. I don't feel I want to do it, which is amazing.
So how do you manage then that sort of work-life balance? Because I run my own businesses, right? So I know how all-consuming it can be if you let it. Yes. And here you are, you're sort of a year into the journey. You've got the family, you've got the kids. How do you manage your work-life balance?
I'm a bit of a planner. Like I have lists everywhere.
Plan. Yep.
Plan, yes. Like I kind of know how the week's going to go. If I'm not picking up boys or whatever's happening, there's somebody else who's going to be there. I work when I can, and and just make it happen. You just have to make it happen, and you do switch off, like when you need to go to the cross country and you walk away and you go there, and it only actually takes 50. I mean, we're very lucky in New Zealand, especially Christchurch. It's not hard to get around and it's a small place, but I can just go up to the school, watch it and come back. But you just make it happen and prioritize what the most important things are for you. And I just kind of, at the moment, it's okay. And there are, 100%, there'll be a time when it's like, wow, I've got deadlines and I've got, we're talking to 3 different clients this morning, and where am I going to get this done? But then there's times that aren't like that as well. So it just kind of, you just have to utilize the time you have as well as you can. It seems to be working, and there seems to be a balance at the moment. Yeah.
So what sort of things then do you do to sort of fill your tank? So you're pretty good at managing the work-life balance. And I agree. It's interesting you listening to you talk, because I always say to people there are seasons. There are going to be seasons when life is busy. There's going to be seasons where life isn't so busy. And as long as you understand it's a season, i.e. it has a start date and an end date, right? And everyone's aware of that. So for me, my wife, my kids are aware that we're just in a bit of a busy season at the moment. But I think it will be over in approximately 2 or 3 weeks' time. And then everyone's like, okay, cool, we can, do you know what I mean? Everyone knows where they are on the plan. And I think having that conversation on a regular basis with your family saves your marriage, if I'm honest with you, when you run a business. And so I like the fact you're talking about seasons and recognizing that, which is great. So what do you do when it's busy or when it's not so busy to sort of recharge your batteries to make sure that actually you're sharp, that you are positive?
Yeah, it's a really good question. For me, I need to, when I say exercise, but I'm not going, my bones have given up for running and things like that now. But
yeah, mine too. I'm out.
No more. I bike into work every morning, when I'm in the office, and that sets me up already. I've got a clear head to just get into the day. And you, instead of arriving at, Monday morning, walk into the office just like, ugh, what have I got to do? I'm like, it's just, the blood's flowing already. So that's, we're very lucky that we can kind of do that with the cycle paths here that we can use. But that's a really good everyday thing that I can kind of just keep going. We were out with the boys down at the rugby field, kicking the ball. They're in a holiday program at the moment because it's school holidays here. Take a ball to go and pick them up, and we just kick the ball for 10 minutes between coming home again, because I'm like, once I'm home, I need to be on my computer now. So mum's not going to be, you just free range, you're looking after yourselves. Pick the ball for 10 minutes, and you do that, and then you get that out. So you just, I guess I let these kind of little opportunities when they present themselves to do activity is kind of it's an important part of our life.
So the cycling to work thing, have you always done that?
No, I haven't. That has been something I started doing when I was at the university. We decided, I think the boys, the youngest one was 5, and we went to do something called the rail trail. I don't know if you've done the rail trail in any of your time spent in New Zealand. No, so it's an old trail, rail trail, funny that, in central Otago, which is at the bottom of the South Island, and it's starting, and because it's a rail trail, it's quite gradual. So it was a 4-day bike ride. And you stop off at little towns on the way and have lunch and stay at like Airbnbs or little kind of mainly that. There were some motels. And I thought, oh my goodness, I haven't sat in a bike for a long time. I had one that was gathering dust in the garage, and so I thought, you know what? I'm not. We'll go out on the weekends and do a bike ride, but I need to get bike ready. I need my bum to be bike ready to be sitting on a bike for 3 days. So I started biking to work, and it was only 15 minutes each way. But, I just was like, oh my gosh, I'm off. I'm a car off the road. I'm not emitting carbon. I feel good when I'm doing this. Like, why am I not been doing this before? And also, with the kids were younger and I had to drop one at daycare, and there was reasons why it was going to be harder to bike. But since then, I haven't looked back, and I just think it's so easy. And it even, I'll be like, oh, we're out of milk, jump on my bike, go up to the dairy or newsagent, like what you guys say. And I'm like, there's a car off the road. It's why aren't we all doing this, where we can? I know some countries are excellent at doing it, and New Zealand's not bad, but it kind of a bit of a real shift in my brain. So just jumping in the car to go get milk, it's like, I don't need a car. So, and we dropped down to a one-car family. Which is, again, it's probably quite normal in the UK, I don't know, but in New Zealand, like, everyone gets around in cars, and they don't need to. So sometimes logistically on Saturday morning sports, that's a challenge, but it's better to just once in a while get in an Uber than have a car sitting out the front there that you're not using. So it's cool. I love being on a bike.
No, I'm smiling because I'm totally with you in the sense that one of the best things I've ever spent my money on was a few years ago, I bought an electric bike. Now, you see, the problem I have, Caroline, is that I'm a typical bloke, right? And I appreciate I'm stereotyping when I say this, but basically it means that when I go from A to B, I want to get from A to B as fast as is humanly possible. So when I cycled to work, I had a road bike. It was carbon fiber. I had the shoes and the clever pedals. I was like, because I wanted to get there quick, and because that's just my nature. And then I would turn up to the office just absolutely soaked. So then we had to go, well, can I build a shower at the office? Because no one wants to sit next to this for the rest of the day. And so I started to create problems. I solved problems, but I created problems. And I tried to cycle in a way that didn't raise my heart rate massively, which meant cycling at a sort of average speed. And I just couldn't do it. And of course, every other day it pees it down with rain here, doesn't it, in England? And so I bought this electric bike, and it meant I could get to work just as fast, but I didn't turn up in a full state of sweat. I was actually quite all right, and it worked out remarkably well. And I just love getting on that bike, taking my life into my own hands, because that's often what you do on the roads of Liverpool. And you avoid the potholes, and you avoid the rain and the crazy drivers, and you get to work. And it's just, I tend to find if I cycle to work, the day feels better. And I don't know why that is. I'm sure some scientists can tell me, but that's just my observation.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, you get it. Yeah, the blood's flowing. You're already ready to go, right?
Yeah, totally. And you've got a million ideas. I mean, to be fair, if I'm driving, I'm listening to podcasts, and so I've got to, the other thing that I purchased, because I was like, well, I want to listen to podcasts while I'm cycling, but of course I don't want something in my ears because that would be a little bit stupid. So then I got those, I don't know if you've seen them, the aftershocks or open shocks, not aftershocks, open shocks. They're headphones which sit on the bones just in front of your ears. And it's just remarkable. I don't quite understand how it works, but I can hear the music brilliantly, or the podcast, and I can also hear everything to do with the traffic. And so,
oh my gosh.
Really clever.
Oh, we're going to look at those.
Yeah, open shocks, I think they're called. And shocks is a bizarre name to give to headphones, because I'm like, that's not the kind of headphone I want. But they need help with their marketing. You should give them a ring.
Yes.
So you've got this positive agency, and I'm kind of curious in the sense how it actually works, right? So I come knock on your door, I'm a client. How do you help me kind of discover the good and elevate my story? What's your, I don't know, I'm not asking what your secret sauce is, but I guess how if I'm sat here listening to you talk and talk about the agency and stuff, I'm like, well, Caroline, how do I do that? How do I get it to be a bit more positive, right?
Yeah, and it's not super I mean, sometimes it's super easy, and it's immediately like, some of our clients, you walk in and it's an outdoor company, and they have on the side a repairs business. So they don't really talk about it that much, but my gosh, the stuff that they're keeping out of landfill because they sew up sleeping bags and that little rip in your tent. It's like, why are you not telling this story? This is amazing. And so, we find that out, and we sit down and we really dig deep, and we have workshops with our clients and kind of go through all sorts of strange and wonderful kind of exercises that they're looking at us going, why am you asking me to draw something? And it's often it's the conversation that they're having with the other, people that they work with, that we're getting the real insights of what's going on. Rather than the actual drawing of what you think is your white client or anything, ideal customer. And so we just, we dig and dig, and we try and find that angle. And it's a challenge, but that's what we're here to do. And we love to find those really tricky ones. We have an structural geotechnical engineering firm, and man, that's dry and that's difficult, and we're in that process. And we haven't found the secret source of that one yet. So, but we're figuring it out with them. They're not, so you say the word sustainability and they kind of glade it over, and it's like, okay, well, that's not where we're going to go with that. But guess what? Actually, you look around in your room and you've got a really diverse group of people here, which I don't think is normal. That's not, engineering students coming out of universities here are probably 80% males, and a lot of them are white males.
Really?
And so,
because that's not usually that ratio of white males coming out of university. Is that a Kiwi thing? Because that statistic surprises me, if I'm honest with you, that it's that way.
Just because of COVID, we've had the borders shut, so international students haven't been coming in. So not 80% white men, but 80% males. And it's it's changing, and it's a difficult one because it actually starts at schools telling girls that they can do these STEM subjects and that they can these things. So there's a real flow-on effect going on here, but. That is reflected when you walk into an engineering agency. So engineering firm, sorry. So we walked in and we had the session with them, and I looked around and it was like, gosh, you actually have it was heavily male skewed, but there was Filipino, there was Indian, there was a bigger range of people. Like, well, tell these stories, put profiles on your social media and tell these stories about that you're an open and inclusive environment. I mean, you've got to make sure you're authentic doing it, but stuff that they've just been, it's like, oh, well, this is what it is, it doesn't, I don't know. So you're kind of having to kind of teach them to kind of find these stories and tell them, and these are the channels that you need to tell them on if you want to kind of grow your business and attract talent. That one of the other hard things was for engineering firms to attract talent. So this is a win-win. You can attract the talent and then get the big jobs. So, it's really kind of getting in there and finding those good stories. So some are obvious and some are more challenging.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I'm listening to you talk about the guys say what is what it is, because it's I don't know what it is about the human condition which finds it very tricky to, unless, and again I'm stereotyping, you happen to live in the US. I don't think they suffer with this that much over there, but the ability to expand on your good qualities. So, what's good about you? What do you like about yourself? How do you positively think about yourself? It's a very tricky question to answer. But if you turn around to someone and say, well, what do you not like about yourself? Well, just sit down and let me tell you. I've got an encyclopedia of these kind of things that we can go through, right? And it's funny how the human condition is happy to talk about what's wrong with us and happy to accept the negatives, and find it hard to talk about the positives, right?
Absolutely, 100%. So we're here to kind of help people with that. But I mean, in New Zealand, it's literally called tall poppy syndrome. Like, you don't stick your head above the parapet and, just stay down, don't make a noise, just get on with it, So it's a real mind shift for some of our clients. Some of them are not so bad, but, that's such a good example. There's that really famous Dove campaign. I can't remember when it came out, but, it had these women and they said, explain yourself or draw yourself. And so they did. And they're like, oh, this is my hair that's really fuzzy and this is where I don't like my chin and all this kind of stuff. And then they got somebody else in there and said, can you draw this person? And then they said, look at her beautiful eyes. And, you just, that change of what you see in yourself versus what you're externally is seen as, it's fascinating.
It is. It's a whole other podcast is what that is. Caroline.
Yes,
it's something, but for now, because time is against us, I'm going to turn to the question box, the bit everybody loves to dread on the Push to Be More podcast. So we've got the question box. Dun, dun, dun. I open it slowly. I remove the questions. If you're wondering, listener, what is happening because you're listening rather than watching on the old YouTube, I have a deck of cards in my hand. They are random question cards, which I've not created. I've purchased at some point in my checkered past. I'm going to flick through. Caroline, you're going to say stop, and wherever we stop, that's the question you're going to get.
Stop.
Oh, we're getting close to the end. I'm like, whew. Okay. I want you to know, this question especially, you were the one that told me to stop when I stopped.
Oh,
right?
no. Gosh. Okay.
So, this is quite a fascinating question. For you, what would be a good death? Sounds a bit morbid, but it's also quite an interesting question.
That is an interesting question. And it's kind of stuff that in New Zealand, we've just had the euthanasia bill passed as well, and
oh, really?
Did not know which has been quite controversial. And
I bet.
It's really kind of you start to kind of question these things, and all these stories have come up of the pros and cons, the people for and against this, and some like heartbreaking stories, right? So, I mean, I think a good death is one that's obviously you're surrounded by people you love. It's I'd like to not know it's coming. I know. I mean, you're with people you love. You're of sound mind, and you've kind of felt like nobody's got a perfect life, but you've kind of settled into who you are, and you're satisfied with that if you've had children, that you've brought up good little human beings, and you see yourself as being a good little human being too, and just one night, go to sleep, and then that's it. I think that would be very morbid, isn't it? But, I think, wouldn't that just be the dream of everybody?
I don't know if it's morbid. I think it's an interesting question to ponder, because obviously it's coming. We can't escape it. It's death and taxes are two things we can't escape. And the two things that we hate talking about, death and taxes, right?
Yes.
And so for what would be a good death, I just think it's a great question. I think for me, it's a life well lived. I don't know if it sounds like it's a saying somewhere. A life well lived is a good death, but I think you're right. You don't want to be a burden on anybody, your wife or your kids. So you want to be of sound mind, you want to be of sound body, but I think you want to be able to stand there at the end of your life, look back on it and go, that was a life well lived. There was opportunities that I missed, but I took some of the ones that were in front of me, and I felt like we gave it a good bash, right? Fascinating one. And so for you, if I can maybe further this question very slightly in the last few minutes, what happens when you die? What's your belief there?
My belief is that's it. I don't think there's anything more after that. I just think that that's the end. And I know that's quite confronting for some people, and not comforting. And I think, people can believe to what they need to believe or want to believe or truly believe in. Yeah, for me, I think it's the end where we've popped on this earth. We've evolved as these kind of single-cell amoebas that have suddenly become, ruining the poor earth. And I think, we close our eyes and that's the end.
That's the
What
end.
about you?
I'm probably more in line with Dolly Parton's thinking on life after death. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm probably more in tune with what Dolly would say. But yeah, it's a fascinating one, isn't it? Death. A bizarre way to end the podcast, I feel.
But interesting. I think you summed it up really beautifully. That was exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is one of these things that makes you think, actually. And for me, actually thinking about, I don't find thinking about death morbid because I'm not afraid of it. But I do find it's sobering, and I do find it focuses you on the present. Do you know what I mean? And I actually find it comforting, I suppose, in a lot of ways. But yeah, maybe I'm slightly nuts in that way. I don't know. I don't know. It's maybe it's a question of faith. I'm not a philosopher. I genuinely couldn't tell you. But yeah, fascinating.
Yeah.
Caroline, listen. Apart from the bizarre ending, it's been. I actually quite like the bizarre ending. I quite like the weirdness of the questions that come out of the question box. If people want to reach out, if people want to find out more about TwoScoops, what's the best way to reach you?
Best way, yes. So best way to get hold of us, if you just go twoscoops.co.nz, you can, on the people's page, there's my emails there, my LinkedIn profiles there. So reach out and have it, talk to us about how you can kind of find the positivity in what you're doing. Even just have a chat, we love to talk about it. This is our world. So we'd love to talk, or if you're doing similar work or want to get into this kind of work, we just love to talk about good things. So yeah, website is best, or find Caroline Polson on LinkedIn. It's another probably quick, easy way to find me.
Fantastic. Now, we will, of course, link to Caroline's information on the show notes as well, which you can get along for free, along with a transcript at pushtobemore.com, or that come into your inbox if you're on the newsletter email list. Caroline, thank you so much for joining me. Really enjoyed the conversation. I have so many more questions, as I'm sure the listeners do, like how do you stay positive and all those kind of things, but time is against us a little bit. But thank you for coming on all the way from New Zealand. Loved the conversation.
Thank you, Matt. It was an absolute pleasure.
Fantastic. So there you have it. What a great conversation. Huge thanks again to Caroline for joining me today. And also a big shout out to today's show sponsor, Orion Media. If you're wondering whether hosting a podcast is a good marketing strategy for your business, do connect with them at orionmedia.com, AURION media.com. They will help answer your questions, and they've got one or two services that I think are going to help you. And of course, they will be linked on the Push to Be More website as well, but that's orionmedia.com. Now, be sure to follow the Push to Be More podcast wherever you get your podcast from, because we've got yet more great conversations lined up, and I don't want you to miss any of them. And in case no one has told you yet today, you are awesome. Yes, you are. Just awesome. It's a burden you have to bear. You created awesome. It's true for Caroline, it's true for me, it's true for you. Just gonna have to bear it. Now, Push to Be More is produced by Orion Media. You can find our entire archive of episodes on your favorite podcast app. The team that makes this show possible is Sadaf Bainon, Estella Robin, Tanya Hutzelak, and our theme music was written by Josh Edmondson. As I mentioned, if you would like to read the transcript or the show notes, head over to the website pushtobemore.com, where if you haven't done so already, sign up to the newsletter, because why would you not? Now, that's it from me. That's it from Caroline. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic week wherever you are in the world. I will see you next time. Bye for now.